All statements made by the crew are opinion. There's heavy adult themes. Listeners have been warned.
No babies on deck!
Welcome to Canon Misfire. I'm your Captain Sam.
First mate Alyssa.
And no one else is with us because no one else cares about this topic, but we do.
Yeah, they kind of jumped ship.
So we're going to be talking about the one thing that both me and Alyssa love a lot, and that is...
Drarry.
Oh, well... I mean, yes, but it's Harry Potter, to be more precise.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so the canon ships for Harry Potter that we're going to be talking about will be everyone's favorite, Ron and Hermione.
Yeah.
And then probably some of the most least liked pairing, which is Harry and Ginny.
Yeah, and of course, canon, so...
Yeah, so canon. Which one do you want to start with?
I feel like we should start with Harry and Ginny, because let's end on a good note, which is Ron and Hermione.
Okay, cool. So, I've only ever watched the movies. I'm the scrub who doesn't like to read.
And I'm the scrub that does like to read, but I also like the movies too.
So we'll be kind of putting some viewpoints from both. So that's good that you've read these because I wouldn't know what to say about that.
And I feel like they're very different. And you should always judge mediums like as their own thing. Like just because the books are good doesn't make them better than movies because they're two different things. That's my opinion, at least for that.
No, I agree. I think that's 100%. I mean, I don't read, so I have to agree. But
yeah, no, but it makes sense. So like, I feel like we're like on the same page when it comes to the ships. It's not like a different thing.
Okay, so for Harry and Ginny, I guess some backstory on Harry Potter. Harry Potter, if you don't know what that is, I guess you were just in the wrong era.
Yeah, get out from under that rock, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Like, seriously.
Harry Potter is a mystery novel series based around magic world. That's as simple as bare bones as it gets. It follows the antics of a Harry Potter, who is the main character, and his friends and him going to school and what's happening inside his world that involves him. And some stuff happens. They last for a long time. You see them from like grade 1 all the way to graduation, kinda.
Magic wizard times.
And there's magic and there's wizards and there's mysteries and so on and so forth. And so if you haven't seen Harry Potter, I wouldn't recommend listening to this episode.
I feel like we've already done a lot of spoilers, so
yeah. It's going to be a lot of spoilers if you aren't into it. But if you're fine with spoilers and still want to hear the content, here we go. Okay, so to get started, we're going to talk about Harry's romantic escapades.
Yeah, book by book, here we go.
So obviously in the Sorcerer's Stone,
there's nothing there. He's just learning.
Yeah, in the movie, they're all cute little kids. In the book, they're all cute little kids.
Yeah, cute little kids.
So, and then in the second book, and movie, The Chamber of Secrets, that's when we learn about Jenny's little crush on Harry.
Mm-hmm. It's her first year, like, at Hogwarts. All of that.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like a standard, my brother's best friend is attractive type of crush.
It's like that cute little like kid crush where it's just like I like my brother's best friend. Honestly, it's not even like the most like romantic thing. Sometimes I feel like it just happens. Mm-hmm. But like it's cute. It's fine.
And I know Harry does learn about it. At least it's like touched on in the movies, but he does nothing with that information because he's a little kid.
And he also like you can just tell that he really doesn't want to concern himself with that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think girls is his main issue yet.
Yeah.
As you're going to come to understand.
He's a 12-year-old boy.
Okay, so in 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban, I know there was a lot more happening in that book than romance itself.
Yeah, he, like, in the books, it's still just kind of like Ginny's scared of him. Yeah.
I know in the movies, I mean, she's in the background, and I think she might have a few scenes here and there, like, around. I can't recall them because they were so insignificant. Yeah. But there's nothing that really starts off as, like, Harry is interested in girls yet. Mm-hmm. I think he's more interested in now his history because of his godfather showing up in his life all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. So that's that's interesting in its own right, but not romantically interesting. Then there's the Goblet of Fire. And I like to mention that movie as when everyone in the movie start having, like, hormones.
And long hair.
And it's like kids are doing drugs, like,
it's like they're finally, that puberty has hit.
Yes, it is. It's hard because, like, Harry's, like, running after Cho, like, left and right, like, ooh, I really like this girl. Ron starts to notice that Hermione's an actual woman. There are some attractive boys everywhere.
All of the long hair.
Oh, God. I love that movie so
much.
Me
too. It's like the awkward ball. Yeah.
I don't think Jenny was really around. She was in the background, like she was there, but I don't think it was based in the movies, at least, because that's what I'm talking from. They don't really bring up Jenny and Harry in that book. There's really, a lot of Harry and Cho.
Yeah. Definitely. I definitely agree. I'm trying to remember. In the fourth one, it is like Harry and Cho, and, well, he likes her, but, like, he also, like, doesn't really, like, do much with it. Like, I think that in the book they do have, like, a little date. This might be the fifth one, though. I might be getting ahead of myself. But it's a very awkward little, like, date where Harry has no idea what's going on because he knows nothing about women.
He knows nothing about girls.
She takes him to a freaking little bar, like a little tiny, like, Valentine's Day thing, and he just keeps on mentioning Hermione over and over, and Cho is just, like, not having it. And I just always thought that was hilarious. That might be the fifth one, but it's hilarious.
That's amazing. Yeah, and then the fifth one is the Order of the Phoenix, and in that movie, that's when we start learning that there's more to the crew than just the main three, and Cho's a part of it, and also Jenny.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the movie, Jenny is around, and she's more noticeable, and she has more. She pushes forward more, and she's more in the scenes. But it is more about, like, what had happened to Cho and Harry. It gets resolved because there's that little kiss in the movie. It's awkward. It happened, and it was mentioned and talked about in the film.
Wait, are you talking about Harry and Cho in the fifth one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So either that date happens, but that kiss happens in the book, right?
Yeah, that does happen.
And it's like she's crying about Cedric, and then Harry and her kiss, and it's really weird.
In the book also, which I think is really funny too, it's like, so once Harry's kind of like over Cho, like Ginny's actually kind of like a friend, kind of like, she acts way more chill around him, like she's finally like treating him at least like a little bit like a friend, but he still definitely doesn't even notice her.
Oh, damn.
And so, but I mean, maybe a little bit, like I think at some point, like she starts dating Dean Thomas in the in the book.
Dean. I do.
Yeah,
yes.
Or something like that. And then I remember, like, it was like little mentions that Harry's a little jealous, but he's like, "Oh, I'm a big brotherly," but no, like he keeps trying to convince himself that it's big brotherly. That's why I think like it's handled so much better in the books, because you can actually get in this thick boy's head.
I love it. Oh my god.
Does that like explain so much?
No, I remembered something. Okay. So I have to remember that in the movies, which is the next one, which is the Half-Blood Prince, which is my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Jenny breaks up with Dean, and it's only ever shown really in the background that she was even dating him, because they were like hanging out in the tavern drinking, and Harry and her friends see him, and Harry has that look of, I would presume, is jealousy. And then they break up. Dean and Jenny. Dean and Jenny.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like that weird moment where Jenny and Harry both decide that he has to get rid of that book. So they go to hide it together in the room of requirement. And then Jenny does the thing and kisses him in the room. And it's very awkward because the actors do not look like they're enjoying it. But it is assumed by that point, I guess, that they're supposed to be dating, but it does not mention in the movies. So in the book, what happens? Okay,
in the books, it's a very different story. Harry isn't allowed to do Quidditch. He's doing a detention, and while he's out, Ginny wins the House Cup with Quidditch and stuff, and like he gets to the room and everybody's celebrating. It's like this big moment.
I think it's the Quidditch Cup.
Yeah, the Quidditch Cup.
Okay.
And, like, she just, like, immediately just, like, runs into his arms and just, like, kisses him in front of everyone. And everyone just kind of, like, just stops for a second because they're like, what just happened? And Ron just kind of, like, gives this, like, sad look of approval over to Harry. Like, fine, you can date my sister. It's hilarious, and it's so nice, and, like, you actually root for them compared to, like, the movie where you're like, this is really awkward and forced. And then, but in the book, it's like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
I think a lot of that has to do with the actors per se, because they probably grew up as like, this is my little sister, or this is my friend who's younger, and now they have to like mac on screen, and you're like, how do you mac someone who you've grown up all this time with and all this other stuff?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see how that is. Like, it's always a gamble with child actors, like, who's gonna have chemistry, and they definitely did not have chemistry. But I mean, they tried. They tried to make.
Well, the point is about the characters anyway, so.
I also just feel like it was an awkward setup. Just like all alone in the room, put the book away. Now let's like have this weird music.
I will admit that I do like how Jenny gets to be the one who initiates these kisses in both the movie and the book. I like that.
You know, I do like that too. Like she's like taking it for herself. And I mean, come on, I love Harry, but the boy is so dense.
Yes, he is. So in the last two, the Deathly Hallows, which is a two-parter, I don't know if you want to break it up by book or do you want to talk about the whole, but I'm going to talk about the movies as a whole, because the first movie doesn't have a lot going on in the way of Harry romance, per se. It is a lot more to do with, like, Harry is on this final leg of his epic journey, and it needs to be all about that.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the first one, they go to the wedding, and Harry and Jenny are like, they're like together in the house, and people are
the
like
awkward zip
walking
up scene.
in. Yeah, they're like, people are walking in on them. There's a weird zip up dress moment, and you're in your mind, you have to be like, are they dating now? Are they not dating? What's happening? But they never mention in the movie. But I think I remember hearing something about it in the book.
Yeah, so I'm gonna also, like, say, too, at the end of the sixth book, they break up. Like, Harry doesn't, like, Dumbledore just died, and, like, he's all distraught about it. He doesn't want to, like, have her on, like, as something to lose or something to be used against him by Voldemort. So he does actually break up with her, and she's kind of cool with it. She's, like, fine. Like, I think she's mad at him, but she gets why.
Okay.
So then by the time that the
Deathly Hallows?
Yeah, Deathly Hallows, like, they have, like, some, like, tension at the beginning during the wedding.
Okay.
And, like, and there's, like, this whole thing with, like, Victor Crumb, and he's, like, Victor Crumb, like, looks over to her, and he's like, dang, she's hot, and then Harry just, like, no, she's taken. Which is hilarious.
That's so weird.
It's so funny, the books versus the movies.
Okay, so then in the movie, in the Deathly Hallows, a bunch of stuff happens. Like, a lot of stuff happens. And I believe at the end of the movie, they're, like, they're in the end of the aftermath of the war, and they're, like, holding hands, I remember, in the movie. And it's, like, the end, and then it cuts straight into, like, the very end, and he is married with her with a bunch of kids.
I can see how that's, like, weird with the movie.
Yeah, they have
very
3 kids.
Unexplained.
In the books...
Yeah, the books, it's, I mean, yeah, after... He pretty much does his whole thing, doesn't, like, he kind of thinks about her sometimes. And then at the very end, he actually, first off, I think he does actually kiss her, like, at the beginning during the wedding thing. Okay. Like, he, like, gets her into, like, a room. But that's, like, it. And they're, like, not together.
Okay, yeah, because...
He's got stuff to do.
Yeah, he's got stuff to do.
But, yeah, no, then, of course, like, you get to the 19 years later... And, yep, he has, like, all these kids and everything with her, and, like, they're just, like, this big old family. I mean, it's a personal thing that I don't like the 19 years later, but that's just a lot of different reasons, and that really has to do with the ship.
But at least it is part of the story, so we did mention.
I feel I get it.
So, yeah, that was it. That's, like, the wrap-up of their relationship. And I like to think, compared, from what you've told me, from what I've just learned, compared to the movies, the books do have more information, but I think we can use both to assess if this canon ship works. And I guess we'll go one by one.
Yeah, because I actually feel like this is going to be one that's going to be different based on books and movies.
Yeah. But if you had all the pieces together, so we have the books now, and we have the movie knowledge now. So for Harry and Jenny, do you feel like the canonship works?
I mean, honestly, no.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of that is personal too, but like, I feel like there are some things, but so much of it, like, it's really hard to gauge how Harry feels about things, because so much of it is it just feels so kind of forced in some ways too.
I'm on the opinion that I see why it would work and why it was written that way. I feel that it's weak.
Yeah, see, that's how I feel too. Like it works, but like if there wasn't so much other potential things with like Harry, like he was in the middle of a war, there was so much going on. Like I feel like if they had more scenes and more stuff together, like even in the books, like you could actually see their chemistry, like maybe see Quidditch matches, you could definitely see like, oh yeah, they definitely fit together perfectly.
I like to think that Ginny and Harry is a product of Harry's life. And since the books are about Harry's life, it makes sense that he would have these girls that he is attracted to and begins relationships with. But I don't think it's the main core of the story. So it's not fleshed out in a way that a romance story would flesh it out to be.
Yeah, and I like, it's not like I like need all of that too, but it's also like, as far as things go, I feel like in some ways it's just a mirror of like his parents' relationship, like James and Lily.
Yeah. James and Lily are different though. They have an interesting relationship, but it's such a small amount that we get from it. There's not a lot to tell to have an actual story on it. But I see that. I see as like two wizards getting together, they make each other whole, all that stuff. I can see where that would develop. I just feel like Harry Potter maybe has more potential after the war. And I feel like them being together during it brings them together. But I don't know if that's strong enough to keep them together in the long run.
For me, another thing too, it's like you have the big three, Ron, Hermione, and Harry. And I feel like why Ron and Hermione works better is because they are that, like, really that friendship, that deep bond. And you can see it just happening. I mean, it's from Harry's perspective. Like, so it works that we don't have, like, a whole lot of information. But since we have Harry's perspective in the books, in the movies, and he really doesn't care much about her that much in it, or, like, he doesn't, like see...
Jenny?
Yeah, Ginny. Yeah. Like, I feel like it doesn't work as well as, like, Ron and Hermione.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like they needed a girl and might as well be the girl that is closest to his best friend. Yeah. The one person that he's very close with.
See, what I do like, though, is that he was young and that, like, I like that we mentioned Cho so much because, like, I feel like that was realistic. Like, you're not going to marry your friend, your, like, girlfriend in high school. Usually, I mean, sometimes it happens, but I'm glad that it had that failed relationship first, so Harry could get some experience before he marries his high school sweetheart. And, you know, it makes a little, at least that's more than, like, he just immediately, like...
Yeah, there was just Jenny and no one else. Yeah. I do like that, because I think it kind of fleshes out his sexuality a bit. It's weird to use sexuality since he is a straight cis white guy, but I think it's valid that it is something that develops when you're that age, and he definitely liked girls, and he definitely liked wizard girls, so that was interesting. I like in the movie there was one little part, I forgot, it was a Half-Blood Prince, and the Half-Blood Prince, he's in a train station, and he sees this Muggle woman at this diner that he's in, and he's definitely attracted to her. Yeah. And he definitely wanted to meet her and all this other stuff, but then Dumbledore's like, bitch, we gotta go. So then he
I really like that too, because like,
was that in the book?
No, it wasn't actually. That's a completely movie thing.
That's what I think is interesting about Harry Potter, because I wish, it's weird to want this in a character, especially a main character, but I wish he had more options in female options.
Well, that's another thing too. It's like I also wish that he had like a more like French, because like Ginny was always just kind of like, she was there, but she was never like a main character like Hermione. Yeah, like she could have had potential if she like did go on more of like his adventures and stuff too.
I could see him almost potentially being into Luna.
Yeah, I could see that too, because they had that like weird thing going on. Yes. And I would have liked that too. That would have been interesting.
I could see Cho being fleshed out a little bit more in the movies. I think in the book she is fleshed out a little bit more for the books that she's in. I would like to see Harry thinking about girls a little bit more. But like I said, since it's not a romance, like, it's not a romance story.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for all of that. I think just personally, since it's all from Harry's point of view, I'd like to know more of what's going on in his head when it comes to romance. It seems like romance happens to him, and he just goes with it.
You know, if I'm going to say, like, altogether, I would say that, like, there's a lot of things that work and a lot of things that don't for me. So that's what, like, I can't, like, unify and say this is a great example. But I can say that they did have good things going for it because, first off, Ginny's a pretty good, like, female character. Like, she's not just the trophy. She's not, like, all of that. Like, they actually made her a character that would work.
I'm going to counterbalance that saying, though, but in the movies, she's not.
That's true. The movies, no.
In the movie, she's just around. So, like, I didn't know she could do all this badass stuff. I knew she was on the Quidditch team because I've seen her on the team, but there's no mention about how good she is at Quidditch because I know she's good at it. She's better than Harry.
It's so hard, like, because, like, my perspective, seeing both, and then, like, you just have, like, the movies, it's just an interesting perspective, because, like, I brought all that book stuff into the movies, and, like, you didn't have that.
I didn't have any of that. What I saw was a forced romance, and what you're seeing is something that's more cohesive. Yeah. Because in the books, we only get Harry's point of view, and the movies, I like it more. I've never read the books, but I like movies more in general, because you kind of get more points of view. Yeah. I know they try to limit it to just what Harry sees, but we do end up seeing a little bit more than he does. And that kind of helps me understand certain characters a little bit better. I, like, still as a book reader, like, I still think that they could have done a little better because, like, he really, like, barely even, like, as far as, like, teenage boy feelings, they don't touch on that. And I get why, like, he has a world to save. But, like, it's still interesting, just, like, he describes his attraction to Ginny as, like, a little monster in his chest, which is just such a weird way of describing shit. I'm sorry. It cracks me up every time. He's just like, that monster reared up its head again when Ginny was single, and I'm like, this is just awkward. Like the wording. Monster of jealousy?
Yeah, it was, but, like, it was just a weird metaphor. Yeah, we should go on to Ron Hermione.
That's great. My opinion is most people's OTP when it comes to Harry Potter, which is Ron and Hermione, which is definitely fleshed out more in the movies. We're going to do it in the same pattern. So, book by book, Ron, Hermione. Let's start with the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah. Oh, everybody's such a big baby. It's just so funny because they have, like, a weird little, like, rivalry. Not, like, rivalry, but, like, a...
disdain?
Yeah. It's an interesting little, like, you really offended me, you dumb, like, child.
I like to think that it's sort of true to life that women mature faster than men. Mm-hmm. And so, from what I saw in the Sorcerer's Stone movie... it's definitely one of those situations where Ron is like, there's a girl around, she keeps being around, and I don't like her. I don't like girls.
It's so, like, realistic, because, like, kids don't, like, kids just don't think like that.
Yeah. Like, they're not ready for that, but he's definitely just like, I don't like girls, I don't like that she's around. So I see that, and it's definitely to the form of picking on her so that she'll leave. Mm-hmm. So he calls her ugly, and
I can see it too as, like, a little stuff. Like, sibling thing too. Like, he has a little sister. And,
yeah,
I mean, I have siblings too.
He's tired of girls always being around. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very, like, I don't know. It makes sense.
And then in the next book, which is the Sorcerer's... No.
The Chamber of Secrets.
The Chamber of Secrets. And the next movie, Chamber of Secrets, there's more of a understanding that she's not leaving. Mm-hmm. And I think Ron comes to accept her as a friend.
See, what's really interesting is I think in the book that they all three become, like, really good friends right after the troll. Like, it was one of those things. Like, it was just like, now we're best friends.
I think after all the trials that they go through in the first movie, now they come to understand that these are the people who have my back and I trust. Mm-hmm. And Ron believes in Harry. He believes in Hermione's, like, intelligence. He's baffled by her skills and everything, but they're just friends. It's just good friendship. Mm-hmm. And I think even onward into The Prisoner of Azkaban, I think he doesn't quite see her as a woman yet, but he definitely sees her as this chick can do crazy good things. And
slap the crap out of Draco, and I respect you so much.
Punched Draco in the face. I was like, you get that, girl. You get it.
That was so good.
It was so good. Even Draco being my favorite character, I was still like, punch him again.
I mean,
I was like,
same though. It was just so rewarding, and I feel like even like Ron was just like, wow.
Yeah, but like in the movies, they kind of, I noticed this afterwards, they kind of subtly move in that Ron is a little more aware of Hermione, and he's like constantly calling her name and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He does the same thing with Harry, but not as much.
I mean,
so when Hermione's like in an issue, like being dragged through the tree and stuff, he's freaked out. But I think he's more freaked out that she went and is gone and all this other stuff.
I mean, there's that like iconic gif. I don't know the one you're talking about, like where like Harry's just standing there, and then like Ron's like arm over like Hermione. And that's from the third movie, so I feel like definitely there's a little spark of something there.
Yes.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Is it that way in the book?
Interesting enough, like they actually get into a big fight in the third one.
Oh.
Yeah, like so Hermione thinks that Ron's Scabbers.
Yes.
Like Ron thinks that Crookshanks, her cat, ate Scabbers.
Okay, yeah, that was mentioned in the movie, but not.
It was big. Like, he actually, like, they didn't talk. Like, Hermione was only friends with, like, Harry for a little bit, and Harry had to, like, go between the two.
Okay.
It was a big fight. And,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was very interesting. They actually had a lot of tension, and, like, not, like, good tension, like, bad tension.
Yeah, bad tension.
In the book, in the third one, because, like, there was a lot with that, and they, like, did fight a lot more. It was interesting that they didn't really do that in the movie.
In the movie, they mention, like Ron's constantly like, your fucking cat ate my fucking rat, and it was mentioned. I don't think there was really like a fight. It might have just been like a scuffle.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But they really skimmed over it for more important things, obviously. Mm-hmm. Like, because you got these great actors who play Lupin and Sirius, and you're not gonna waste them.
Well, I remember too, like that's a whole time movie, so you gotta fit a lot of stuff into like a small, like a movie that you probably couldn't do with like a book. So I totally get why they skipped over a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like they fight a lot. Like there was even like like the whole Buckbeak trial and everything in the book. Like Hermione like had to do that all alone. Like she was distraught. Like it was a really bad time.
Okay, but then in the fourth movie, which is the Goblet of Fire, that's, like I said before, my favorite movie because everyone is definitely getting into their sexuality and their hormones are rampant. And that definitely hit Ron and Hermione hard.
Yeah, that was a big one.
In the movie, Ron is aware of Hermione and her sudden kind of interest in Victor Crumb. And he is very much jealous, but I don't think he quite... They don't say he's jealous, but you can tell he is, and they don't quite touch on it like you would imagine a jealous boy to be.
Yeah. Because
it's done from Harry's point of view, but it is a movie, so we have a third person's point of view. And it sometimes looks like that Ron is almost still, like, going back to picking on her, is what it looks like. He's like, oh, you're not going to find a date to the friggin' thing. And she's like, I already got someone. And then he's like,
oh.
He's like sad about it. Yeah. He's like, oh, okay. And then he's like mad because he has to take this rando girl to the prom. He's wearing this ugly fucking thing. She looks fucking gorgeous.
Oh, God.
And he's just pathetic and like sad. So in the movie, it all from like a third point of view. I can see why people would see it as an issue. And I can also see why people would see it as straight up jealousy. But no one ever says, you really like her, don't ya? A lot of one thing was mentioned by her, which I thought was really badass when I was young, when she was like, next time, ask me to the prom instead of just being a little dick about it. And I was like,
I mean, not exact words, but I mean, close enough.
I was like, ooh!
No, I love that so much. And honestly, that is literally how it is, like, with the book, too. Like, that whole, like,
that
situation.
Whole scene, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they handled that super well. Like, all the hormones and shit,
yes.
They handled that perfectly.
I like to mention that Hermione and Victor Crumb is really interesting because there's this guy who kind of thinks that you're, like, smart and beautiful and amazing and all this, and her being the ugly girl for most of the films, it's interesting to see her as being, like, actually sought after, and I don't think she knows what quite to do with that. Because she definitely has eyes for Ron.
Yeah.
That you could see. Never mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But you could definitely see it. And my God, she doesn't know what to do with this gorgeous man that's after her. And I was like, bitch, you chose wrong.
You chose wrong. You chose Ron. No, I definitely get that, though. Like, it's so nice to see, like, Crumb going after her, especially since Crumb is so, like, everybody likes him, too. So the fact that, like, he chose Hermione out of all of it, like, I mean, I could love it, too. Because, like, that, it was just such a cute little thing. And, I mean, seriously, they do everything really good in the movie for that one. But I think what's really nice to touch on is that they stay friends. Like, they stay pen pals.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was completely, like,
no, they don't mention it in the
film.
movie.
Yeah.
But I know that from reading stuff online.
Yeah, no, but, like, I just think it's really cool that she made, like, a really, like, lifelong friend, and, like, that somebody that was different and, like, wasn't Ron, because, like, I feel like sometimes when you're in those kind of things, you almost feel like you feel like you have to, like, date, like, your friend that likes you. But, like, she, like, got more, and, like, she decided for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she decided that she liked him for herself.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah. Because it's true. She had options, and she chose that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but she did it.
But, I mean, I also love it. I love Ron Hermione, despite what J.K. Rowling says, but, like, they are good together.
So in the Order of the Phoenix movie, it's definitely more about Harry, obviously.
Yeah, Harry's romantic turbulence.
But this movie pushed Ron Hermione way to the front.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Ron is going out with that fucking chick.
Lavender.
Lavender.
I think that was was that the... Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
He's going out with this fucking chick because she loves him so fucking much for some reason. And she kind of shows up out of nowhere in the movies. And Hermione this is her time to be jealous. Like, she likes him, and it's, like, upsetting her. And she cries about it, and Harry has to, like, comfort her about it. And it's, like, really emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it. Because Ron is not oblivious to what's going on, but he's not preventing it either. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why it's almost interesting to see that dynamic. Because I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but he's not 100% with Lavender. He's definitely concerned with Hermione, and he definitely likes Hermione. Especially when he, like, breaks something. He breaks his arm or leg or some shit.
Yeah.
And he says Hermione's name in, like, a fit of, like, dysphoria or whatever.
Yeah.
And Hermione's like, look, bitch, I won. And I'm like, damn.
Whoa there, Hermione.
So I think it's, like, the beginning of their relationship in the background.
Yeah.
Of the movies.
You can see, like, something definitely really real forming, and they, like, definitely did that well. Like, it's, like, the obsession of, like, Lavender, and that just shows, like I said, like, with the Harry Cho thing, it shows that, like, your first option isn't always your best, and sometimes it shows, like, those crazy, like, first starters to kind of get you, like, so in the mindset that you can start, like, finding what you really like.
Did all that happen in the book? Was there, like, more?
I'm trying to remember, but, like, I think... Yeah, like, I think it was pretty much all there, from what I remember. They got that, like, romance stuff, like, done in that movie. It was so funny. But yeah, no, Lavender, that was a lot. I think the big thing that's different in the books is just how, like, lonely Hermione was during that time. Like, it really showed just, like, how much, like, Harry had to, like, help her out. And, like, she, like, it, like, brought back to, like, the third one and, like, the fight they had before. And, like, Harry was just, like, only Hermione's friend or only Ron's friend for a time. It was really bad. I would say that's, like, where they were kind of, like, their worst.
Okay, and then the final book, which is, like, it's a two-parter, and the movie's a two-parter, but I like to do them all together.
I mean, the book's a one-part, well, yeah. Yeah.
So, in the Deathly Hallows, for the movie, the two parts in the movie, that in the beginning, during the wedding, Hermione, Ron, and Harry have to all run, and then when they're out camping, there's a lot more Ron, Hermione happening inside the camps, and Ron he's going crazy because he's, like, holding on to the necklace, and it's like full of this dark energy, and he's getting fucking jealous left and right and like upset all the time, and he's like he doesn't know what's happening to his fucking family. Hermione is like upset with him because he's acting like a fucking dick because he can't control himself. It's like fucking Lord of the Rings all over again.
Yeah, lots of jealousy. Oof.
Yeah, and I like that funny movie clip where the locket finally gets broken open, and it's the fucking Harry and
so
Hermione
awkward.
kissing. Like,
all naked. Like, did they have to be? It was so much.
It was so random. But I guess that happens, and then they have the big war. They fucking kiss after they destroy the Horcrux that they had. And then at the end, they have babies.
Yep. Well, it's definitely a little different turn in the books. Yeah, so Hermione and Ron are really, like, you can kind of tell, like, even from the background, it's Harry's perspective, but there's, like, a lot of, like, touching and, like, a lot of, like, hand-holding and, like, a lot of, like, be safe out, like, a whole lot of, like, implied, like, if they weren't in, like, a relationship, I would have been surprised.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very much, like, maybe they didn't tell Harry, but there was a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
Behind the scenes.
They were definitely, like, cuddly as fuck.
Yeah, super cuddly, super, like, you could tell.
Oh my god.
So, like, and then you get to, like, the house, and, like, Harry finds them almost, like, holding hands. Mm-hmm. I think that was in the movie, kind of, too.
Yeah, I think for a moment... It's hard to say.
Like I said, like,
he also had his weird stuff with Jenny going on, so I was like, there's a lot of tension going on in this movie, romantic-wise, but there's a war. So we gotta deal with the war.
Yeah, a lot of war stuff. So, just a lot of that. I know, so, the whole locket thing, that's when, like, it really is. Same as the books. Lots of jealousy, lots of, like, pain. But, like, of course, like, the movie can't touch on it completely. But, like, you see from, like, Harry's perspective with, like, Hermione that she's super broken up about him leaving. Like, so, like, he, like, catches her crying sometimes. And, like, she, like, holds it back in. But you can tell, like, she really misses him.
I like in the movie they have that one, like... It's only one scene. There's not a whole... Like, she's obviously sad, but they only see him gone for a little while, and then they get right back into the action. I like that one vulnerable scene where they're both dancing in the tent.
Yeah.
And it was, like, the one little point of happiness that she gets after Ron leaves in this tiny little war.
Yeah.
So I can see why they would put that scene to interpret all of that, but I guess it would be more emotional in the book because it's happening for a longer amount of time.
Well, you know what the funny thing is that dancing between Hermione and Harry isn't in the book.
Oh.
At all. That's a movie thing.
It's really pretty, though.
It is. I like that. Like I said, like I'm not going to be one of those things like the book or the movies, but because... Like I said, completely different things, but I liked that in the movie.
Oh,
like, yeah. I thought that was really sweet. But yeah, no, like, Hermione's definitely a mess in the book, and she really does get better, like, once they're, like, reunited again, like, that was in the movie, too, like, she gets so mad at Ron.
Yeah,
which I thought was really nice, because, like, I'm glad that she didn't just, like, hop right back into his arms. Like, she was legit hurt, and, like, they needed to fix that.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny how in the movie that it was like all the emotional smelling music where Ron's like, I tried to find you, blah, 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 the little light. That was just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
It was just a lot. That's just a funny perspective. But also, okay, so later on, like, they're finally all together and everything. And the big moment, like, that's different in the books is their big kiss.
Okay. The
big kiss, Hermione and Ron go to the Chamber of Secrets. Well, that was actually, No. So Ron goes to the Chamber of Secrets.
Okay.
And gets the fangs, and Hermione didn't know where he went. Nobody knows. He just, like, kind of disappeared. And then he comes back with all of these fangs. The fangs. And like, he says something like, oh no, the house elves, because in the books, Hermione's obsessed with the house elves, like, to a crazy amount that's not even touched on in the books. She's obsessed with them, but she's like, But Ron's like, oh no, all the house elves will die or something. And she just, like, makes out with him, which is just so funny. Because she just, like, and everybody's just so surprised. They're like, where did that come from? And Harry's like, we're in the middle of a war.
Can you focus, guys?
It was hilarious, but it was cute. But I definitely think, like, the romance, like, the, like, super romantic aspect of the movies, I think worked with that.
Yeah, okay. That is different. So it's a more comedic thing in the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas, like, it's so satisfying in the movies. Like, they're alone.
Because they go together, they
have
both
this
find
moment.
the thing, and then they're like, whoo, we're wet, but whoo, we're gonna do this thing.
Yeah, no, hot scene. I mean, just objectively cute, you know. All alone, whereas the books, it's just like okay, this is awkward. Let's get back onto the war thing.
And then they both get married and have babies.
Yep, get married, have babies. But I like their, like, cute little banter.
Okay, so do you think, now that you have all the information from the books and the movies together, do you think their relationship is still good canon-wise?
I mean, yeah. Definitely. I think it's a strong, like, as far as, like, a female character goes, like, it doesn't feel forced. Like, I think that it was handled super well.
I agree. I think the reason it didn't feel so forced is because it had natural ups and downs.
I think so, too.
As compared to, like, most relationships do. You're not always happy all the time, and you're not always on the same level all the time, and they definitely look like they were together often, even though they didn't get together until, like, the end of the movies. It looked like that was always a thing, and the fact that they had rocky moments made it feel like that's a natural thing.
And you could tell that they were, like, friends, and that they, like, viewed each other, like, as equals, and, like, had admiration for each other.
Yeah.
Which is such a thing that you don't see in a lot of, like
media.
Ships like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, like, ships, I feel, especially ships like theirs, where it was, like, little, like, they knew each other when they were little, and then they, like, got together when they were older.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be weird, but the way they did it wasn't. Like how we said, she had options. She didn't have to pick Ron, but she picked Ron because of who Ron was.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron definitely leveled out as the movies continued, and he realized that Hermione's, like, the best choice. He had options too,
Mm-hmm.
but he was always thinking about her.
Yeah.
So he knew right away what really mattered to him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't act on it right away, but I think he knew, and that's what made it interesting to watch.
I think as far as, like, couple compatibility, though, too, like, I feel like they really even each other out. Like,
yes.
Like, I feel like Ron needs, like, he needs somebody with direction. He needs somebody, like...
who has their shit together.
Yes, whereas I also think Hermione is so, like, good and so great and everything. I feel like she also needs somebody like Ron, like, compared to, like...
to relax.
Yeah.
Someone who's just relaxing to be around.
Yeah.
The one thing I like about Ron as a character is that he doesn't have all the answers, and he's not the big hero. He's the dude who I can relate to in that situation. Mm-hmm. He's a normal dude. He reacts in normal ways to things, and he feels like a real person. Yeah. While Harry's, like, the protagonist and, like, the God Jesus type, and Hermione's like the smart, like, straightforward, got her shit together, Ron's the dude who's like, I'm here, guys, and I'm a friend.
And, yeah, no, it's so perfect. And, like, I really do think, like, Hermione could have, like, any of her choice, and I'm so glad that she, like, picks Ron, because Ron, like, he really is a sweetheart. And, yes, he's been an asshole, but, like, the thing that works is that they, like, he learns. He grows and learns. And so, like, it just works because they feel like a real people and, like, a real relationship.
Like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Harry Potter is pretty good with the canon ships. Sometimes.
Yeah.
There's other canon, like, relationships in the books. My one issue with the end is that I feel like a lot of the ships that become canon, like, through the marriages and stuff, we don't have enough information about that to really justify if they are good. Mm-hmm. So I at least like that some of the ones that we do see end up having a fulfilling end with marriage. Me personally, I'm not 100% on what gets paired off, but I do think for the books and for the market it hits and for the people who read it, it feels like a complete end, beginning to end romance. even if it is background, it's still there and it's still
That's
viewed.
the thing is, I can't say that there's any, like, bad romances. Like, they're handled, like, well enough. I think there's, like, better. But I think it definitely works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's Fleur. What's her name? Fleuren?
Fleur and Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that, they get married, like, in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the
and those
whole
are
wedding.
older couples, too, that we don't know much about, but, like, I think it works a lot, too.
Yeah, like, there's some things mentioned about that, and, like, with time, like, fans get to, like, abbreviate and, like, learn more about them. You're like, oh, yeah, that totally worked out. And, like, some of the older couples, like Lupin and Tonks, that's interesting. Stuff happened there, and there's a lot to discuss about that, but I don't think there's enough for us to... I mean, in the movies, there's not enough to express about it. It's all from book, pretty much.
And it's all just, like, I definitely, like, these are canon shows, so we like to focus on the main ones that, like, really show, like, development.
Yeah, so I think we did well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have anything to add or want to, whatever, comment wherever this podcast is going to be put. And if you have any questions or whatever, you can email us. And I hope you had fun.
All right.
And remember, no babies on deck.
No babies on deck.